Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of the GRCV Hoops podcast. My name is Gavin Campbell, and alongside me, my good friend, Ricardo Vargas.
Hello, everybody. My name's Ricardo. I'm glad to be here and go on this journey with you.
Now we're going to be going over for the first episode the biggest moves of the NBA offseason. It's definitely been one of the more crazier ones within recent memory, at least. And,
yeah, it's really crazy offseason. Like, so many moves, so many good moves.
Just the face of the NBA, I think, is just completely changed from last year, and it's going to be a blast to watch this upcoming season, I can tell you that.
Honestly, like, it's such a different league, and I'm really excited to see what moves were really the good ones, because we really don't know yet until we see each player play for their respective team.
Exactly. I know the common NBA fan might not have kept track of all the trades that happened during the summer, but
right.
That's what we're going to run over today, and I know we're not going to get through all of them, but this is just a few of our handpicked favorites, if you want to call it that. The one that really intrigues me, though, is the Indiana Pacers sending Paul George to OKC for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis. I think this really shows Russell Westbrook that OKC is willing to surround him with another superstar like Kevin Durant, but plays better off the ball, because we both know that Westbrook and Durant are ball dominant, you know. And when Durant was there, you could really see the frustration in him, especially at the end of games, at the end of a half or a possession. You know, when the shot clock's winding down, Westbrook would always want to take over, even though we know not Westbrook, but Durant is that he is that dominant takeover Mamba mentality player at the end of games, as we saw in the NBA Finals.
Yes, for sure. Like how you said, we saw it in the finals. Curry and all of them, they know they can play off the ball, and they just let Durant do what he had to do, and that's what they won. But Paul George to the Oklahoma City Thunder was a very good move. What do you like about that, especially?
What intrigues me the most about it, I would have to say, is how is Paul George going to adjust from being the number one guy in Indiana to being Westbrook's Robin, essentially? Because we know that he's Batman, okay? He's the Brody, okay? It is Westbrook's team.
That's his show.
And what intrigues me the most is not only how is Paul George going to fit in being, you know, the second option on that team, but also how is Westbrook going to adjust to it after coming off of the ridiculous MVP season of averaging a triple-double. I think Paul George, like I said earlier, is better at playing off the ball, and I think that's really going to help Russell's game because he can shoot, you know, coming off screen, setting picks for Russell, getting other guys open, because you can't leave Paul George by himself, so that's going to absorb one of the defenders on the opposing team. And I see the Thunder being a lot better, you know, if not just as good as when Kevin Durant was there. Enes Kanter and Steven Adams, you have the Stash Bros, as people like to call them, as they call themselves.
They're a great duo. Like, I think if Paul George and Russell Westbrook adapt to each other and play off each other well, they can make a really good run in the playoffs. They have solid big men that they can use. They just have to adjust, and if they mesh well, I think they can go far. And I think they can be as good as when Durant was there with them.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And this is another thing that intrigues me, is that OKC, after signing Paul George, knew that they would need more wing scoring, which is what they wanted Oladipo to do, which he didn't really fulfill that for them for how they wanted him, you know, how they wanted to get him from Orlando to fill that role. And they go out and sign Patrick Patterson to a 3-year, $16.4 million deal. After he became an unrestricted free agent this summer after playing with the Raptors. I like this because with Toronto, he really opened up the floor for them with his three-point shooting. He's a guy that can come in and give you, you know, I wouldn't say 25 minutes a game, maybe between 12 and 15 minutes, you know, maybe get you 6, 9, 10 points off the bench.
Yeah, he's a solid role player. And another thing you have to take under consideration is that Paul George, he didn't want to be with Indiana. So No,
I think as much as he talked up Indiana, I'm sure he loves the fans there, but you could tell that he was not set on playing another year in Indiana.
He wasn't. He wanted to get out, and I think Oklahoma was a good option for him. It's not bad. Let's see how long he stays there.
Exactly, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities for George to re-sign with the Thunder.
It could happen.
We know that Westbrook has not signed his contract extension yet, and we know that he still has another year left on his deal. So maybe that's an indication that maybe if they have a good season this year, that they'll both come back and have another go at it.
Right. No, yes, I agree. And it all depends how good they play. And we know that the West, the Warriors are there. It's really tough to beat them. And I think another trade similar to this one, the same magnitude, is that CP3 to Houston.
Absolutely.
It was I think CP3. He knew he wasn't going to win in Los Angeles. The Rockets, they had a pretty good season. I think it's a perfect fit for him. Even though him and Harden are both ball dominant players, I think they will be able to mesh together. They have a great coach that will help them work it all out. They got good big men, solid role players. They're another team that really could go far in the very tough Western Conference.
I'm gonna piggyback off that and say that I think that they are the one team other than the Spurs, because I will never count out a Greg Popovich team ever. They're the one team to rival the Golden State Warriors, I think, in a 7-game series, and I truly believe that. I think Mike D'Antoni is an underrated coach.
He is definitely.
What he did in Phoenix with those Suns teams with Steve Nash and Stoudemire and Sean Marion, Joe Johnson, those guys. I mean, it really was something special. It was definitely underrated. And when they brought him to Los Angeles with what it was supposed to be, the super team before super teams, with Dwight Howard and Steve Nash and Kobe, Pau Gasol,
man,
that was supposed to be something special. It wasn't his fault that injuries derailed that, But I think now, with him being the head coach and having a true point guard in Chris Paul, not to say that Harden wasn't, but we know that Harden likes to take it into the hole. He likes to shoot. He likes to score. Okay, he's a scoring guard. I wouldn't consider him a point guard. Chris Paul is one of the last true point guards that we have, and I think that being in Houston is really going to help him out instead of being stuck with the Clippers in a center that can't shoot to save his life and aging Blake Griffin that is getting injured, every season
all the time. Yeah, exactly. Just how you said, Mark D'Antoni, underrated coach. Look what he did with Harden last season. I remember there was a comment he said Harden could average 14 assists a game. He didn't average that, but he did have multiple games where he had a crazy amount of assists. And Harden isn't even a natural point guard, so I really do not want to imagine what he'll be able to do with CP3 and Harden together.
Exactly. And this is the one question that I see people keep asking is, how is Harden going to adapt to being the 2 guard again after having the season that he did, coming up second in MVP voting?
I think he'll be able to adapt well because he's a really good player. He'll be able to go back to his natural position. He'll be scoring more. And I think Chris will have more assists. He'll manage the ball a little bit more. But I think Harden will flourish either position, point guard or shooting guard. He's going to do well, and the Rockets are going to do well. They have Clint Capella, underrated big man.
Absolutely underrated big man. We talked about this actually before we started the show. That I compared him to Dwight Howard now, except a young Dwight Howard, and he's not making as much money. I mean, he catches lobs, and he shoots almost about the same percentage as Dwight shot. I'm not sure about now, but for a career. And being this young, he can always improve his free throw shooting, and he's constantly improving his game. And he definitely has a better mid-range shot than Dwight had or still has right now.
Yeah, honestly, very underrated. I like him a lot as a player. Him and Harden, they ran the pick and roll so well last season. They made a lot of good plays, and that opens the floor up for guys like Ryan Anderson and Eric Gordon to shoot, which, they can really shoot the ball. And then they'll have either Harden or Chris Paul open, being able to shoot threes. Their offense, it's almost as good, not as good as the Warriors, but very good. It's fun to watch.
Exactly. I don't think that this changes the motive for them whatsoever. I still think they're going to be a 3-and-D overall team.
Yes.
How much defense they're going to play. I mean, Chris Paul definitely improves it. But I still think that even though they gave up so much for this, and I have it actually right here, the actual trade was Chris Paul. Chris Paul had to opt in to the last year of his contract with the Clippers, and then he agreed to be traded to Houston for Patrick Beverly, Lou Williams, Sam Decker, Montrezl Harrell, Deron Hillard, DeAndre Liggins, and a protected first-round pick. Now, that sounds like a lot, but this is Chris Paul. And I always say that when these trades go down, and even though the Clippers got back 6 players and a pick, okay, the team that gets the superstar wins the trade.
Exactly. I agree.
And the reason I say that is because you're not only you're getting a superstar, you're pairing up a superstar with another superstar, and you still have perimeter shooting around them with a great big man. I just think Houston won this trade, and I think LA is. I think they're an interesting bunch, but I just don't see them making it past the second round of the playoffs. I mean, Houston clearly won this trade.
No, they did, and it's very similar with Paul George. You know, Chris knew he wasn't going to accomplish anything in LA with that team, so this was his best chance to win a championship. I think after the Warriors, the Rockets have the best chance to go to the finals and win.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And speaking of the Rockets and old Rocket at that, let's talk about Dwight Howard and being moved from Atlanta to Charlotte. Very short-lived homecoming for Dwight. Now a Charlotte Hornet, and the trade happened a couple months ago, right before the draft. Well, more like 3 months ago, actually. Man, it's September already. Time flies, doesn't it?
It does. Season right around the corner.
But the trade was Dwight Howard to Charlotte for Miles Plumlee and Marco Bellinelli. I never thought that Dwight would be traded for one of the Plumlees. But that's how far he has fallen, and oh, how the mighty have fallen. I just believe that Dwight is better than that, you know, and the fact that he's being traded for, now, I don't mean to downgrade these players because they're obviously much better than me. They're in the National Basketball Association and I'm not. But for chump change.
They got Dwight for free, and I think he's still a solid player, and he's going to prove everyone wrong in Charlotte. That's what I think.
I agree, and I think this works out best for him because I don't think the chemistry between him and Dennis Schroeder was ever there, and I don't think that he fit Atlanta's system, you know. And being in Charlotte with Kemba Walker running the pick and roll, I feel like that really opens up the floor for Nicholas Batum and Malik Monk. Now that the rookie,
he's gonna shock some people.
I am very high on Malik Monk out of Kentucky. He is a sharpshooter.
He's a shooter. That's
and
all he does.
I think being in that organization and playing alongside Kemba and Nicholas Batum, Dwight now can roam the paint and grab more attention than, you know, Miles Plumlee. I mean, let's be honest. This is Dwight Howard and Miles Plumlee. Is there really a comparison?
You can't compare them. Dwight, you know, he's proven himself. Last season, nothing like his All-Star years, but he still had a solid season. And I think he's going to be even better this upcoming season with Charlotte. And he's gonna make Kemba Walker better.
I agree 110%. And I think the biggest issue with Dwight is that people expect him to be Orlando Magic Dwight.
He's not.
And he'll never get back to that point again. I mean, there comes a point in a player's career, you know, you've had so many injuries that you'll never get back to that all-star level that you could play at, you know. I mean, he's been to the finals. I mean, he has playoff experience. I think he's really going to help out the Charlotte team. And I believe Charlotte will make the playoffs, and I think that they'll even go to the second round of the playoffs. I mean, this is a really under-the-radar move by the Hornets.
It was. It honestly was. Like, Dwight, people sleep on Dwight. They're sleeping on Charlotte. Kemba Walker, he's a very underrated. I think he's one of
the borderline all-star last year.
Borderline all-star. I think he got robbed. He deserved to be an all-star.
I think he did get robbed. I'm not sure why that they don't open up the all-star rosters to 15 spots.
They might as well, you know.
If you can have 15 players on your squad, why not open the all-star game up to 15 players? Because the league is it's so talented. So many people are getting lowballed nowadays because they're not getting their nods.
Honestly, yeah, like they got to give all those guys a chance. You know, it's just for fun. That game really doesn't count, and a lot of guys deserve it. Like Kemba was just one of them, but there was plenty of other guys.
Damian Lillard's another one.
Oh my goodness, he's one of my favorite players.
Me too, and I think Damian Lillard has been underrated and second guessed his entire career, and I think that he just keeps proving people wrong.
He does. Like he wasn't supposed to make it to the NBA and be this good. Look at the school he went to, but look what he's done. He's an underrated player. An amazing player. He had an amazing season last year. He's a top 10 point guard.
I would say easy top 10 point guard.
10.
And you're going to tell me when he came into the league from Weber State, a point guard from Weber State would be a top 10 point guard in the league right now?
Never in a million years. Never in a million years. Like, he can go toe-to-toe with the best names in basketball, honestly.
I agree 110%. But what was one of your favorite moves so far from this offseason, Rick?
Well, like, I think one of the best moves was D'Angelo Russell to the Nets. Like, I think the Lakers really messed up by just letting him, like, giving him to the Nets. He's been a really good player. He's last year he averaged 15 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and that was his second year. And that was in a messed up Lakers organization, you know, when Kobe's last year, it was basically all him, all Kobe. You know, he really didn't get a chance. And then last year, you know, they were still adjusting. I honestly think he can be an all-star. No, I don't know. I think he can average 20 points.
I think in the East he could be an all-star.
Yeah, you're right. Honestly, he's very underrated. I think he's going to be very good for the Nets. The Nets aren't going to be that good, but he's going to win them some games, honestly, and he's going to show everyone what he can do. He's up there with the Karl Towns and all those guys from his year, Devin Booker and all those guys.
And I think him having his own team now, because this is Russell's team. The Nets went into this trade with the intentions that this is our guy now.
And he's an unselfish player. He'd rather pass the ball than score. That's the great thing about it. And he has great size.
And that's something I think a lot of people don't give him credit for, is that he's just a selfish point guard. He's a 2-guard masking a 1-guard, and that's not him. You know, if you watch tape from him last year, if you watched any Laker games, which I don't know why you're watching Laker games, but if you watched any Laker games last year, I mean, you can see the potential. You can see the potential. I mean, he has court vision, and he does have ice in his veins, ladies and gentlemen. He has ice in his veins.
A lot.
D'Angelo Russell is cold-blooded, and he's very underrated, not only as a player, but as a passer. He is a point guard.
I remember watching him in Ohio State. He would make some crazy passes. Insane.
Now, let's talk about the other side of that deal. D'Angelo Russell, along with Timofey Mozgov, and his
right. I forgot about him.
Unbelievable contract that finally the Lakers got rid of. Thank you, Magic. Brook Lopez going to the Lakers. I think this is another underrated move that people don't talk about. I think Brook Lopez overall, although his rebounding is atrocious for a 7-footer, I think his offensive skill set is something that can fit into any team. You know, he's really good playing back to the basket. He's got a mid-range shot, and he can even shoot the 3 if he's open.
Oh, shoot. Yes, he can. He's a top 10 center.
I can agree with that. You know, if you want to argue that Brook Lopez is a top 10 center, I'm okay with that.
Because there's not a lot of good centers in the league, and he can score. You know, he's an okay rebounder, and you know he fits well in any system. I think.
I think if Brook Lopez is not on the Brooklyn Nets, that he is a borderline all-star.
Borderline, yes, I completely agree.
I don't really have too much to say about it because I'm not watching Brooklyn games.
Neither am I.
Maybe 4 years ago, but not now. I think that Brook Lopez for the Lakers, being on that team with Lonzo and Brandon Ingram and Julius Randle, I think having that veteran leadership along with Luol Deng, who he's fallen off, but he's a veteran presence in the locker room.
That counts a lot.
I think they will be a big influence on them. And then if it doesn't work out either way, he's on a 1-year deal. Go make your money elsewhere.
Exactly. He got a lot of places to go. A lot of teams will pick him up.
You've got an entire year to live in L.A. I mean, what more do you want?
What more do you want? Making millions, shoot, man. And like on the other hand, I do understand the Lakers. You know, they did draft Lonzo Ball, which I think he will have a successful NBA career. But like, I think D'Angelo Russell, he proved himself that he was a good player. He has a lot of potential. I would have kept him on the team.
Do you think that the Lakers drafting Lonzo Ball was a low ball to D'Angelo Russell?
It was. Like, they drafted him not 2 years ago, very high. They believed in him. He proved, you know, what he can do, and they just like it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice of them at all.
I wouldn't want to be him and know how he feels when your general manager, Magic Johnson, comes out and says that the only one on the roster that's untouchable is Brandon Ingram.
Exactly.
Why Why is D'Angelo Russell? Why is D'Angelo Russell? Why is D'Angelo Russell not untouchable?
I don't know, but he's gonna.
What do the Lakers see in Brandon Ingram that they didn't see in Russell? You think it could be something to do with the scandal with Nick Young and the whole Snapchat story?
Hey, maybe. I really don't know, but that could be. Like,
I mean, could you believe that Magic and the Lakers organization would hold that against him? I mean, Swaggy P is gone. Nick Young is gone.
right.
So,
And he didn't do too much for the Lakers.
I mean, he did give us a lot of laughs. I'll give him that.
A lot of laughs, and that does count.
Nick Young, you are a living meme, and we thank you.
Swaggy P. I do like him as a person and whatnot.
Absolutely. I loved watching him in the three-point contest this year.
He's
really
great.
did.
He's great.
Speaking of Nick Young,
Speaking of Nick Young,
Swaggy P signs a one-year deal worth $5.2 million to sign with the reigning NBA champions, Golden State Warriors.
you can't be mad if you're Nick Young because all you're gonna do is have fun the entire season.
As much as I don't like dominance in the NBA, I like some variety. I don't like to know who's probably going to win the championship every year. I can't be mad at Nick Young for making this move.
Shoot.
He has been stuck on garbage after garbage after garbage for his entire career. And as much as he is goofy, he's a decent player.
He's a decent player, great role player, great shooter.
I think him fitting into that system is just as easy as Kevin Durant fitting into that system.
Yes. Like coming off the bench, he's going to hit threes. I could see him having multiple 20, 30-point games just out of nowhere, Give the guys a rest, he'll step up.
That's really all I have to say about Swaggy P.
Like,
I mean, he knows how to score, and he knows how to show off. That's about it. That's what you get with Swaggy P.
and he's going to make the locker room an even more fun place here. And I'm just happy for him, honestly, because he does deserve it.
I think he'll enjoy himself in Oakland, and I think that he'll enjoy actually, making the playoffs and having some fun with Curry and Thompson and Durant and those guys.
Man, I wouldn't mind being in there for one game, just having fun, cracking jokes.
But now you have to think, the Warriors signed Swaggy P, but they don't re-sign Ian Clark. Ian Clark was a big focal point of that bench offense with Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala.
Yes, he was.
Can Swaggy P, replicate or match what Ian Clark can do off the bench?
I think he can be a little better. I honestly think so. Like I've always been a fan of Nick Young. I like, he shoots and it goes in,
Well, except for the meme. But yes, it does go in. Now this brings up another question. Ian Clark signed a 1-year, $3.3 million deal with the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, the New Orleans Pelicans just shipped off Quincy Pondexter to the Chicago Bulls for some cap relief. Now this was to clear up space for Ian Clark, and they also signed Rajon Rondo on a 1-year, $3.3 million deal. So now Anthony Davis has some help off the bench, because your starters will still be Drew Holiday. You still have Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. And off the bench, you have Rajon Rondo and Ian Clark. So he has a little bit of help now. How do you think the Pelicans fare in the Western Conference with the additions of these two?
Like, I'm just going to be honest, they're just going to be an average team. They have the two best big men in the league.
I think hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Oh, no doubt. They do. But, okay, I'm not going to say average because I haven't seen them all play. They also got Rondo.
Right. We only got to see Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins on the floor for a couple months last season.
Exactly. And I didn't watch a game, honestly. I haven't seen a full game of them playing together.
Right.
And I don't know. I really have to see how they play together, how Rondo can contribute. I think he can still contribute a lot. I'm a big fan of his. But, yeah, I just got to see. Because I really don't know right now.
To me, when Rondo was on Chicago and they were in the first-round series against the Celtics this playoffs, Rondo almost single-handedly ran away with that series. I mean, as soon as Rondo got hurt and sat down, the Celtics ran away with it. It was their series for the taking. The Bulls just didn't have anybody else. I mean, Isaiah Cannon, that's your starting point guard. Yeah. Michael Carter-Williams, that's your starting point guard. I mean, Rondo, I think, is definitely more – he has more value than people give him credit for, even though he is a head case sometimes.
He is. I have to agree. Like, I think he contributes a lot on the court, but off the court as well, like how you said with the Celtics, he knew the Celtics gameplay, and he could have easily beat them by himself.
He knew that organization in and out.
His IQ is off the charts, and you just have to learn to work. Like, he has to learn to be able to work with the other team, with other players, the coach, because if they can mesh, if you can mesh with Rondo, man, that's a scary team.
I just think it'll be interesting to see, with Rondo, Anthony Davis, and DeMarcus Cousins on the floor at the same time.
Yeah, all Kentucky guys, I think they will be able to mesh.
I think it'll be the smoothest transition that he's had his entire career.
Yes, I agree 100%.
And let's not forget when Rondo played in Sacramento, he had an entire season with DeMarcus Cousins. They are familiar with each other's games.
And Rondo did have a decent season. He did average I think he did average double-digit assists and double-digit points.
He did average 11 and 11, I believe.
That's really good.
Which if Rondo's doing that off the bench, Pelicans playoffs?
Oh my God, they could make the playoffs. And then Jrue Holiday. He's a great player as well. If he can stay healthy,
when healthy, I really think that he is one of the better point guards. I mean, maybe not top 10, but he is right there on the edge of it, top 12 at least.
Jrue Holiday, Rondo, and the two best big men. And Anthony Davis does have to stay healthy.
Yes, he does.
He does.
Injuries for the past couple of seasons have been a problem for him. I'm curious to see how DeMarcus handles his temper throughout the entire season, I should say, with Anthony Davis there. I'm hoping that he can keep him under control. They seem pretty close so far, but they've only been together on the same team for about 5 months now. So we'll see how that goes, and I'm really eager to watch the Pelicans this year. I never thought I would say that.
It's going to be fun to watch them play, and hopefully, since the Rondo, Cousins, Davis, they all went to Kentucky, maybe that can help them be able to, come along together. I think so. Hopefully Rondo can be a mentor for those two young guys.
Absolutely. I think this is definitely one of the more intriguing moves that's not being talked about.
No, yeah, I agree. And
especially the addition of Ian Clark off the bench. I mean, what he did for the Warriors, he can do the exact same thing for New Orleans. Perimeter shooting is what they need. He's
gonna do even more for this team. He's gonna have more playing time.
I think the only thing the Pelicans need to do is talk some sense into their GM and why Omer Asik is still on the roster.
Oh goodness.
Roster. That's like the third time I've messed that up.
Hey, man.
Why Omer Asik is still on the roster. Getting paid $13 million to ride the bench.
I'm sorry.
How many minutes a game did he average last year? Maybe 3? I really don't know. I didn't even know he was still on the team.
And even when he was with Chicago, he wasn't even all that. He's never been...
He had one good year in Houston. And everyone thought that he was worth $12, $13 million a year.
Yeah,
this is when the salary cap was lower than what it is now.
I really don't understand sometimes these moves. You got to be smart about it,
They tried to get cap relief by getting rid of Quincy Pondexter. Get rid of Asik. That is your problem.
They do. And one last thing about the Pelicans, they have to prove this year that they can play and do something, because if not, I don't think that team will last together very long. Because Cousins and Davis, they both want to win.
Absolutely.
They're still great players, and they want to win a championship just like any other NBA player.
And it's going to be twice as hard playing in the Western Conference. But Pelicans playoffs? Hey, we think so.
I think so. We think so, yes.
Moving on. We might as well just get this one out of the way. Just happened. What was it been? About a week now?
About a week
ago. But no. In all seriousness, Kyrie Irving of the Cleveland Cavaliers has been traded, if you didn't know, newsflash, to the Celtics for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic. I can't pronounce that. I
think
hope
it's
I said
Zizic.
that right. The Brooklyn Nets first round pick next year and a 2020 Boston second round pick. Now, who won this trade, Rick? I know you're a Celtics fan, but let's be objective here.
This is a really tough one to say, because I don't know how Isaiah Thomas will play for the Cavs. I'll give you two scenarios. If he's just how he was last year, I think both teams won the trade, because they're getting Isaiah Thomas, an amazing point guard, and more assets. And then the Celtics are getting a soon-to-be superstar, franchise-type player for the Celtics. Kyrie didn't want to play in Cleveland. He got what he wanted. He wanted to lead a team. He's gonna have a good young team to lead, and then the Cavs still have the pieces to compete for a championship. But I really don't want to say who got the better deal because I really don't know right now. I have to see both teams play with what they got.
Does Thomas's hip injury concern you at all? There's articles saying that he could be out until the All-Star break.
It does concern me. Like, I really don't know if he'll be the same Isaiah Thomas that I loved watching last season. Hopefully he is, even though that's our rival, the Cavs. I still love Isaiah Thomas. I still wish him the best. I still want him to keep on playing basketball. But, we'll see.
Now, having said that, if he is out until the All-Star break, do you think that Boston has a chance at the number 1 seed over Cleveland?
Oh, yes, easy. Even if Isaiah Thomas plays earlier, I think they're still going to get the number 1 seed. I think Brad Stevens, a brilliant coach, he'll be able to make Kyrie into, oh my goodness, a superstar. Gordon Hayward.
Do you really think Kyrie Irving will fit into that system with him only averaging 5 assists for a career as a point guard?
Let's just say this. Let's just say Kyrie's Play-Doh. Brad Stevens is going to grab him and mold him into that system. That sculpture, that Celtic sculpture, he's going to put him on there.
That's a
because
great
that's
analogy.
what Brad Stevens. Thank you. Because that's what Brad Stevens does. He just makes everything work.
I can't deny that Brad Stevens is probably a top 3, if not top 2 coach in the NBA. But I am curious to see how it plays out. Now, we brought up Gordon Hayward briefly just then. Gordon Hayward, before this trade, signed a 4-year, $127.8 million contract, max contract with the Celtics. How do you think Gordon Hayward will transition from being the number 1 guy with the Utah Jazz to being the number 2 guy to Kyrie Irving?
Oh my goodness, I think it's going to be super easy for him. He's going to be an unselfish player. He's an unselfish player. He's going to fit perfectly. Since Brad Stevens was his coach in college, he'll understand. He knows what he has to do. And like how I said, Brad Stevens is going to make it work. If Brad Stevens wasn't there, that team wouldn't be able to go get the number 1 seed and be that good.
You really think that Boston can still get that 1 seed after trading away their 2 best defenders?
Yes, I think
Avery Bradley's in Detroit and Jay Crowder now in Cleveland?
I think so because I believe in Jaylen Brown. I think he's going to have a great season.
You think he'll make that big of a jump, huh?
He's not going to be Avery Bradley good.
Does he start?
I don't think so. I think Marcus Smart will start and he'll have a great season as well. Marcus Smart, I love Marcus Smart.
I love Marcus Smart's game. I just don't love how much he flops. If you think LeBron flops, please go to YouTube right now and look up Marcus Smart flopping.
I'm sorry, I'm a Celtics fan, but I have to agree. It's borderline ridiculous sometimes. It's funny sometimes just to see, like, come on now. It's so obvious and it's pretty ridiculous.
I'm not sure how many times he's been fined for that, but you think you'd learn your lesson.
Like, I don't understand.
But no, I do like him. Oh, and Avery Bradley going to Detroit. They have Marcus Morris now.
That's another thing. I think Marcus Morris, he's going to fit well into the system. I think it's going to be a great team because of Brad Stevens.
How good will Jason Tatum be this season for the Celtics?
He won't be – I don't think he'll be Rookie of the Year, but he'll average at least 10 points and be a contributor.
You think top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting?
Yes. I think he's going to make a big impact.
Who wins Rookie of the Year?
I think it's either going to be – oh, man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, putting me on the spot. But either Dennis Smith Jr.
Oh, I love that pick.
Oh, my goodness.
Him in Dallas, he's going to be great. He's going to be great.
I'm going to be honest. I think it's going to be him going to win.
Really?
Yeah. If not Ben Simmons, if he stays healthy.
Really?
Yes.
Now, see, people don't know that Ben Simmons is technically a rookie this year. Same thing with Joel Embiid being hurt 2 years and playing last year. He was considered a rookie. And
look at him.
I still believe this. Had he played 10 more games, he would have won Rookie of the Year.
Oh my God.
He's going to be an animal. I think the Sixers overall are going to be a great team. I see them being a top 5 seed in the East.
Oh,
you heard it here first.
If they stay healthy, they're winning a championship.
Yes, health is the biggest concern.
Yes, like if they stay healthy, they can win a championship in less than 10. I'm gonna put 10 years.
10 years
championship team. Joel Embiid is a monster.
That's quite a way into the future. We talking Philadelphia 76ers 27 champs? You heard it here from Rick himself.
Man.
Speaking of the Sixers, J.J. Redick signed a 1-year, $23 million deal.
That's another great pickup.
$23 million for J.J. Redick?
It's a lot. It's a lot. But look at the salary cap. I think he's a great veteran. He's a shooter. They need shooters. I think, they paid a little bit too much, but I think it was a great move.
I agree. I really like JJ. I'm just glad that he's off the Clippers and he can finally break that Clipper curse.
Honestly,
know,
he's
I mean,
a good guy.
he's not going to reach the finals, nor the Sixers, so long as LeBron and company are in the East. And actually, well, now the Celtics can challenge him. I don't think the Celtics can beat them, but I do think they'll give them a run for their money.
They will.
But speaking of the Cavs point guard situation, if Isaiah Thomas is hurt, that means someone else has to be point guard, doesn't it?
Mr. Former MVP.
Mr. Former MVP himself, Derrick Rose, signed for the veteran minimum. Let me repeat that. Derrick Rose signed for the veteran minimum. This is the former 2011 NBA MVP signing for $2.1 million.
I think people are sleeping so hard on this because he had a good season last year.
This is a man that averaged over 18 points a game for New York last year in over 60 games.
And look at that terrible system that was of New York, and he was still able to do that.
I would just like to reiterate that he played 60 games. That's a sizable chunk of the NBA schedule. He only missed 20. Was it less than 20 games? Around 20 games last year. I mean, he was reliable for the most part.
Tell me how many guys can average 18 points a game in the NBA.
If it was anyone else averaging 18 points a game, he's making at least $15 million.
Easy. Like this is one of the biggest steals of the offseason, if not the biggest.
I think that Derek is really going to improve playing with LeBron, of all people.
He will.
If there's anyone you want to learn from, it's the King. I mean, well, unless you're Kyrie.
Man, like the only man on earth.
Shots fired. Moving on. Oh, speaking of Derrick Rose and the Bulls, let's talk about the Bulls. And
before we talk about the Bulls, let me ask you this. What do you think of what the Celtics and the 76ers did in the draft? They traded their picks. Do you think the 76ers did good there?
I think Boston got the better end of it because they were going to take Jason Tatum either
right
way.
Exactly.
They wanted their guy. They knew that was their guy, and I'm pretty sure everyone and my mother knew that was their guy. So they said, why not get something out of this? Because the Sixers are not going to take Jason Tatum with the first pick.
They weren't, of
so
course.
They said, you know what, let's get a little something. Let's swap picks and get an extra pick. I can't remember if it was a first or second rounder, but getting your guy and getting an extra pick on top of that, whatever it is, it could be a 20-25 second round pick. You still have something. And it's the Sixers pick.
And you still have the same guy that you wanted.
Exactly. I think it worked out for both. I'm not sure who got the better end of the deal. I think Boston did, just for the sole fact that they got the extra pick, because we haven't seen the rookies play yet. I think Markelle Fultz is going to be great for that team. I don't know how the ball distribution is going to be handled between Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz. Hopefully that they can work that out. I know that Markelle Fultz likes to drive, so I'm hoping that he can, take on that slasher role for the Sixers. And then Ben Simmons be the, point forward kind of LeBron player taking it up the court and, dishing it out to Joel and Robert Covington and J.J. Redick now.
Right.
So strange to say Redick is playing for the Sixers, but
Amir Johnson's on there too.
I think moving forward for this season, I think the Sixers got the better end of the deal because they got their man that's going to play a lot more minutes, I think, than Jason Tatum. By the way, Markelle Fultz, Rookie of the Year. That's my guy.
That could possibly be.
I'm hoping so. If it is Ben Simmons, good for him. But then Markelle Fultz got robbed. Other than that, no. I think the Sixers got the better end of it. I do think Jason Tatum will play solid minutes for Boston, but Boston already has players. They have established players. They have 2 all-star players. They'll give him quality minutes. I see him playing around 20 minutes a game.
Okay.
I think Markelle Fultz will play closer to 30. But
yeah, he's going to be great if he stays healthy. He's going to be great.
Absolutely. I really like this draft class. I mean, it's not as good as
03.
Well, what was it? Andrew Wiggins' draft was that 2013, 2014?
It was either 12 or 13.
The Andrew Wiggins class was, I think, better. But other than that, I mean, the Karl Anthony Towns Porzingis one was really good.
Devin
I think this
Booker,
one was,
D'Angelo Russell was in there.
This one was probably number 3. I would say I would put this at number 3 within the past 10 years as far as drafts go.
Like, if these rookies live up to their hype, this is one of the best.
Actually, no, not 10 years because 2009 that was a great draft. I'll say the last 7 years. This is the best draft.
Yeah, I know. Like I think these rookies will live up to the hype. Dennis Smith, Lonzo Ball, Markelle, Jason. I think they're all going to be solid players. And those are like the big names, but you never know who else can be a good. Donovan Mitchell, Utah Jazz. Look what he did in the summer league.
I mean, this is a guy that not a lot of people even know exists.
I didn't know he existed. I didn't know.
Well, that's what the summer league's all about. It's like it's finding diamonds in the rough, and that's why they do it. And finding guys like Mitchell and who's I can't remember his name for the Nuggets. Oh man, he was really good in summer league, and I was not expecting it. Malik Beasley. Is that his name?
Malik Beasley's on there.
I really, he wasn't flashy, but I really liked him in the summer league. And someone else that I really liked in the summer league is Illinois' own Brandon Paul, getting signed to the Spurs.
Man, we're happy for him.
I have been waiting for him to get signed ever since he left the school. What was it, 2012, 2013, something like that? And he has been on the grind in Europe, in the D League, now the G League.
The G League, right?
Man, I'm so happy, and he will get minutes for the Spurs. Popovich plays everybody in the regular season, and I can't wait to see him play.
He can't be in a better position right now. What an amazing team to play for.
He set the summer league on fire, and I mean even coming into the league at 25, 26 years old, he'll be there for at least 8-9 years.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
And
if you're playing with the Spurs, you're going to be there a long time.
Exactly. He will probably be a franchise player unless he has a breakout season. But getting back to the Bulls, there's one trade that we haven't gone over yet that needs to be addressed for all the Chicago fans here in Illinois. Jimmy Butler traded on draft night to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and the 7th overall pick, and that turned into Lauri Markkanen. I'm going to say that name again, Lauri Markkanen. He is playing in the EuroLeague right now. If you want to see something crazy, type in Lauri Markkanen. Just kind of sound it out because I can't tell you how to spell it. But look up his highlights.
You're going to be impressed. I've been watching some of them, and man, the kid is good.
I think he's more than good. He went on his draft stock. They said that he was a sharpshooter. This man does more than shoot. I mean, he's a complete player, and he's a big man. He's what
rare. That's what you need.
What NBA teams want. A DeMarcus Cousins-like player without all of the negative things that come along with that.
Oh, yes.
I mean, yes. DeMarcus is more talented than any other big man in the league, but you have all the, temperaments and the emotions and tirades that come with that.
Exactly.
But Lauri Markkanen has the skill. I'm not saying he is DeMarcus Cousins, of course, but he has the skill set of a DeMarcus Cousins.
Yes, I see him being an all-star in the future. Easy.
I think that this is a really good pick for the Bulls. I really wouldn't have given the 13th overall pick to the Timberwolves, though.
No.
I don't know why they gave them Jimmy Butler and their pick. I feel like they got fleeced in that aspect, but I'm glad that they got a rookie that looks very talented and that could survive in this league because it's not easy.
Yeah. Survival of the fittest.
But let's talk about what people want to hear, and that's Jimmy Butler now.
Oh, man.
On the Timberwolves.
Go.
The T-Wolves have Jimmy Buckets.
That was one of the first big moves in this offseason. I was completely shocked.
I believe it was. This came to me by surprise. I got an update on my phone before it was announced on TV when I was watching the draft, and it blew me away. I was sitting at Buffalo Wild Wings, actually, and I looked at it. I couldn't believe it. I had to do a double take.
Oh, my goodness. You weren't the only one. I was shocked to see that. Like, I really couldn't believe it. I didn't think he would go there. I thought he was going to go to the Celtics, to be honest.
I think that he was going to, and the Celtics had talked about Jimmy Butler or Paul George, but Danny Ainge never pulled the trigger on it because he didn't want to give up the Brooklyn pick. But now, as a Celtic fan, real quick, let me go off topic for a second. Would you rather have Paul George or Jimmy Butler over Kyrie Irving?
No, because I like both.
What if you get to keep Isaiah Thomas?
Oh, then bring them along.
But you have to get rid of the Brooklyn pick and perhaps a Brooklyn pick next year.
Oh yes, I would have done it. Because if we're keeping Isaiah Thomas and one of those two other guys, oh my goodness.
Really?
Yes.
So you would take Paul George for 1 year or Jimmy Butler for 2 years for 2 top 5 picks?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, you heard that from a Celtics fan, folks.
Because they're proven all-stars,
I understand that, but then what happens when they leave?
What
if they don't want to stay is what I'm saying. That's why Danny Ainge thinks long-term.
They'll stay because the system in Boston works,
I think everyone knows that it works, and I think just the atmosphere and the history of the Boston Celtics, what it means to be a Boston Celtic, I think means a lot to everyone that plays for that organization.
True. Even Kevin Durant almost went there. That says That's it.
And I honestly wish he would have.
I
honestly wish he would have. That would have changed my entire outlook on Kevin Durant, but I'm not going to bash him now.
Ain't on the NBA.
I'm happy that he's a champion. I'm just disappointed in the way he did it. I'll leave it at that. Getting back to Jimmy Butler, now on the Minnesota Timberwolves, they didn't stop there.
They
didn't stop at Jimmy.
No, they didn't.
And they went out and signed Jeff Teague. I believe it was a 3-year contract. I don't have the salary on top of hand right now, but I know he signed for 3 years. I really like the signing. I really like the signing. They traded. I really do. They traded Ricky Rubio. They traded Ricky Rubio to Utah. So now the Utah Jazz.
I'm not mad at that.
No, I think it was time to let Rubio go. I thought it was time to let him go a couple years ago.
Oh yeah,
when they had Wiggins and Towns.
Yeah.
I think that I don't know why or what they saw in Chris Dunn that made them, not want to start him over Ricky, but. I'm not there, but just from what I see, I mean, I think that Dunn was just as talented as Ricky Rubio shooting the ball, and his defense is a lot better than Ricky Rubio.
I thought Chris Dunn was going to be one of the best rookies.
He was hyped up in the draft.
He was, and for good reasons, because he did crazy things in college. Like, I don't understand. It would have been nice to see him stay as a Timberwolf, but they still got an amazing point guard in Jeff Teague, and
absolutely. And if you thought Jeff Teague was the end of it, they're not done. Okay, this trade gets a little crazy. Okay, Jamal Crawford of the Clippers was traded to the Atlanta Hawks, along with Diamond Stone, who was a second-year player, and then Danilo Gallinari from the Nuggets went to the Clippers in a three-way deal. The Hawks then waived Jamal Crawford at his request. And then just a few days later, he signs a 2-year, $8.9 million deal with guess who? The Minnesota Timberwolves. This team is just loaded.
It really is. I think I have to see them. How do you think they're going to fare this season?
I can tell you they're going to make the playoffs. I don't care if it's the West or not.
They will.
This team is too good not to be a top 5 seed. It's too good. I mean, let's just run through the starting 5 real quick. I mean, you have Jeff Teague. Right. I don't know who your shooting guard would be, if that's going to be Wiggins or if he's going to play small forward, because Zach LaVine's not there anymore. So I would assume that it would be Shabazz Muhammad. I'm not sure.
I like him,
but I do too. He's been in some trouble early in his career, but he's come around.
Yeah,
he's grown on me. Let's just assume that it's Shabazz Muhammad. Okay, not a bad 2 guard.
Not bad.
Then Andrew Wiggins is your 3, and then your 4 is Gorgie Jang, and then your 5 is Karl Anthony Towns.
But what about Jimmy Butler? Yeah, let's just start Jimmy as shooting guard.
That is him as shooting guard. I can't see. I'm not even thinking about him. See, that's how new this is. Jimmy Butler is the 2 guard. Jeff Teague, Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins, Gorgie Jang, and Karl Anthony Towns.
Gorgie Jang, I love Gorgie Jang.
I think he is one of the most underrated. I know I've used that a lot,
right?
But he is one of the most underrated.
Solid.
Big men.
You cannot ask for more
as
from
a role player.
From a role player, what else do you want?
Yes. Well, and then they go out and sign Taj Gibson. They're still not done.
Great off the bench.
Taj Gibson, 2-year, $28 million deal. That's $14 million a year for Taj Gibson. I mean, as a role player and what he brings on the defensive side, I think that's fair.
And you got to look at who the coach is: Tom Thibodeau, Jimmy Butler, Taj Gibson,
and Jamal Crawford. Even though I don't believe Thibodeau was his coach at the time, he did play for the Bulls years ago.
Yeah, years ago. But still, having that relationship with Jimmy Butler. Like, the thing for me is, I don't know, Jeff Teague's not a shooter, Wiggins not a shooter, Butler's not a shooter. Like, how do you solve that,
How do you solve it? Well, I mean, they can all shoot. They're all decent. And I think when you take 3 decent players instead of having 1 good player and 2 bad players, shooting-wise, someone will get hot one night. And, if you have that many people that are decent shooters, one of them will get hot every other night. So I think you solve your problem through process of elimination and finding the hot hand.
Right. And then you still have Karl Towns.
Who, by the way, if you didn't watch him last season, is a beast. How did he not make the All-Star team?
My goodness. I think he's the second best big man in the league right after Cousins. Now, I would take Towns
center. I would say center, yes.
Center. I would take him over Cousins just because he's, his attitude and whatnot. Like
I would just take him on the age aspect. I mean, Boogie's coming up on 27, 28 years old now.
Yeah.
And Karl Towns, what is he, 21?
21, yeah.
22?
He's almost as good as Karl Towns, and without all the drama.
And really,
Character guy.
The guy is crazy. I mean, he averaged what,
like
20 and 10 in his second season.
Second season, yes. And super efficient as well.
I'm glad you said efficiency, because that's what the Wolves need. Because Andrew Wiggins, one night he'll put up 48, 5 and 3, and the next night he'll go for like 12. Like, why does he do these disappearing acts?
I don't know, but I think hopefully he improves this season. Having Jimmy Butler there, hopefully, like, as a mentor, will, I don't know. I think he still has potential. He's still young.
Absolutely. So, I think Jimmy Butler's defense should rub off on these guys, because we all
important.
know if you watched the Timberwolves games last season, which I caught a couple of them, Wiggins doesn't play defense. I mean, he picks and chooses when he wants to, but he doesn't play defense.
No, you're right. And just how you said, if Jimmy Butler can rub that off on him, I think, oh my goodness, they're going to be a scary team, because Karl Towns, a defensive monster as well. Gorgie Jang, they're both defensive guys, and then if Jeff Teague and Wiggins can play some good defense, that's a scary team. They could stop the war. They could stop the
potentially.
Warriors.
Potentially. We
slow them down.
We don't know how good this team could be, but I think at their minimum they could be a 5 seed in the West.
Yes. I think they could they might not be able to beat the Warriors, but they can slow them down. They're not going to be the Warriors are going to be draining threes on them all night.
Right. And I had been saying it for the past couple years. Timberwolves are on the rise. I think now they're on the rise for sure. Let's.
And it helped getting rid of Ricky Rubio.
Oh, I think Ricky Rubio, as much as I like him, as a player, I just think that he was holding them back.
And he couldn't shoot either.
No, he can't shoot. And if you got a guy that can't shoot and you bring in another guy that can kind of shoot, kind is better than can't. So,
you're right, exactly.
But moving on, we have a few more trades here. This is one that I know you're really intrigued about. Paul Millsap signing a 2-year, $61 million contract. I'm going to repeat that, $61 million, okay, with the Denver Nuggets.
I like this move. They did pay him a lot, but I like the move because he's a veteran. He's still a star. He's 32, but he's still a star. Versatile big man. He's going to play incredible with Jokic. Both passing big men. I think he's going to help the Nuggets a lot. They did overpay him, but he's going to help the Nuggets a lot. And the Nuggets are young. Jamal Murray, Gary Harris.
I'm a big fan of Gary Harris.
Oh, my goodness.
Big fan of Gary Harris.
Same here. I'm a big fan of Jamal Murray as well. I think he's going to be really good this season. And Jokic, one of the best big men in the league.
I think he is on the best contract for what he can do right now. And that's I don't even think that's arguable when it comes to big men.
Yes, I put him up there with the likes of Karl Towns.
I do too.
He's a better passer.
Absolutely.
He's the best passing big man.
And I don't think you can argue that. If you haven't seen Nikola Jokic highlights of just him passing, not even scoring, just look up him passing the ball. Dude, look up on YouTube Nikola Jokic passing compilation of last season. You will have a blast. I guarantee it.
He's better than passing the ball than some point guards.
I think he is their point guard. I think he is their point guard. He just plays in the paint.
Yeah, because Moutier.
And I was a big fan of Moutier. I don't know about you.
I was okay on him. I wasn't too big, but I didn't dislike him either.
I bought into the hype that he was going to be great, and he just kind of became this average, point guard.
He can't shoot.
No, and when you're not a great passer, he's just an average passer, and you can't shoot. When you're just average and you're playing with great players, you would think that would elevate you to a new level. In the past couple of years, he just hasn't done that.
He hasn't. He really has to prove himself this upcoming season. Because
I agree.
If not, I don't know.
I hope Paul Millsap can really bring veteran leadership to this team, because I really don't think they had any other than Gallinari.
They didn't.
But was Gallinari really your leader?
No, he wasn't.
No.
He's a good player. He's almost all-star level, but not at that. He's a really good player.
Who's the Nuggets' number one option? Is it Jokic or Millsap?
Oh, Jokic. Easy.
You really think so?
Yes.
How do you think Paul, will transition into being the second option for that team? Do you think he'll mind? He's only 30 years old.
I think he'll be okay, because remember he was on that Hawks team that had Al Horford, Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver. He was good with sharing the ball. He's not a ball dominant guy. They did win 60 games a few
That's
seasons
true.
back.
That's
I think
true.
he's gonna help.
You know,
this team.
speaking of that 60-game season, I don't mean to interrupt, but he did come out and say a few days ago that he expects, maybe not this year, but next year, Denver will surpass 60 wins.
Oof.
What do you think about that?
I'm not too sure on that one. I really don't think so, since the West is so tough. I think they'll be a good team. I think they'll be a playoff team, but I don't think.
Do you think Denver makes the playoffs this year?
As a 7th seed, yeah,
7 seed Denver Nuggets?
I could see that.
I just think the West, after like the top 3 seeds, just is so fuzzy. You know,
It is.
I mean, well, actually, really the 4. I mean, I see Golden State, obviously, Golden State, San Antonio, Houston, and Oklahoma City. You know, I think those will be the top 4 in whatever order. I would assume Golden State on top of that, but then the other 4, I think that's just a toss-up.
Do you think the Lakers make the playoffs?
Not in the West. I think they might. They could go for a 10 or 11 seed, but in the West, you know, even if they win 40 games, they're not getting in. If they win 45 games, they might not get in.
Right, exactly. Because you have the Trailblazers as well. Lillard, McCollum, and Nurkic. That's a big 3 right there.
And don't sleep on Yusuf Nurkic.
Oh, please don't.
In the first round against Golden State, if he doesn't break his leg, if Yusuf Nurkic does not break his leg, I think that series goes at minimum 6 games.
Easy.
I know that when he got traded there before the All-Star break or at the All-Star break, I can't remember when it was.
Around that time, yeah.
Somewhere around there. I know that Blazer team, when he was like transitioning to being the number 1 center, because I knew they had that whole kerfuffle going on in Denver. You know, is it Jokic? Is it Nurkic? Is it Jokic? Is it Nurkic? They didn't know. And now that he finally got a chance to be the number 1-5, you know, he's like, okay, well, let me show you what I can do. And he showed us. He showed us.
Yes. And, like, he's in a great system because Lillard and McCollum, they pass the ball. You know, they're scorers, but they do know how to pass and feed their big men.
And I think that's the reason that people think that they can't pass the ball. Who else is on the team? Who else is on the team?
I'm not passing that ball to Evan Turner.
I mean,
I'm going home.
Alan Crabb is gone. Alan Crabb is gone. Thank goodness. You know that what was it, like $20-something million contract for a role player? He's not that good. He's good. He's not that good. Okay. And then you have Evan Turner, who I believe is still on the squad.
Humongous contract.
$25 million for Evan Turner.
No.
Who's paying this man? Who is paying this man?
I really don't understand that one.
And then Al-Farouq Aminu, who has just completely fallen off. I mean, 3 years ago, he was a completely different player. I don't know what happened to him. And then let's not even get started on Myers Leonard. Okay.
Good night.
But no, I mean, Nurkic reminds me of when Aldridge was on the team. You know? I mean, he can't shoot threes, but he has a mid-range.
Right. Yeah, he's a versatile big man, just like Aldridge. Yeah, I can see that.
I think that Portland can get back to that 50-win mark. You know, 48 to 53 wins, somewhere in there. Please, I really think they can.
Yes, please do not sleep on Portland because McCollum he's gonna keep improving. Same with Lillard, they're gonna keep improving. They've been working this offseason, especially McCollum. I've seen videos of him just working out with Devin Booker, Melo. Speaking of Melo, we thought he would leave the Knicks. Give me your thoughts on that terrible situation.
I had said back in June, okay, before free agency started, this was the middle of June, I said Carmelo Anthony will not start the season in a New York Knicks uniform. And I was wrong because it doesn't look like he's going anywhere. This man has made it so difficult for the Knicks to move him because he wants to go to the perfect situation, which clearly he has every right to do because he has a no trade clause in his contract. But the only team on his, wish list is the Houston Rockets. And I was reading an article that came out yesterday that said, or it was either yesterday or today, I couldn't remember, but it was, they almost had a deal set up. The Bucks were in on it to be a third team to send Jabari Parker to New York. But that trade got nicked. It wasn't making any progress. So he can't go to Houston because they can't get a trade done. The Knicks don't want Ryan Anderson and his ridiculous contract. Okay, he's stuck. All right. Portland wanted Melo. That's interesting. Speaking of Portland wanted Melo.
That would have been a great fit.
Melo doesn't want Portland. That's the problem.
That would have been a great fit.
I understand that they're in the West, but did they make it as an 8 seed, right? Yes, they did. Yeah. They did. They made it as an 8 seed and went up against the Warriors. I think that team with that big three there, that small big three of Nurkic, Lillard, and McCollum. If you add Carmelo Anthony in the mix, you're telling me that's not a lock for the playoffs now as like a 6 or 7 seed?
I think I see them even higher. Because Lillard and McCollum, that is one of the best backcourts in the league.
And you already have to guard them. Your third best defender is going to guard Carmelo Anthony? I don't think so.
And then you got Nurkic in the paint.
Exactly. I just sit here and scratch my head. I'm like, Melo, what's wrong with Portland? Like, why not,
I would go. Like, I don't know why he wouldn't go there.
And if anything, it's for 1 year.
Just try it out. You're still making millions of dollars. You're making millions of dollars playing basketball.
I don't know why he's being so stubborn about this.
Come on, big guy. Come on, big guy. Portland's a great city.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't know what it is with his mentality and even getting up to this point, wanting to stay in New York for so long and trying to make it work, even though Phil Jackson was just, I'm not even going to get into that. And then the owner, James Dolan, just...
I don't want to talk about the Knicks.
No, the Knicks are a dumpster fire, okay? And the Knicks fans know they're a dumpster fire. And the only diamond in that rough is Kristaps Porzingis, which Phil Jackson considered trading.
I really don't understand. Like, it's beyond me. I feel for the fans. They've been trashed for so long. But, it is what it is. I just wish them the best.
I do too. I hope Melo gets it figured out, and I hope Knicks fans can stop crying eventually, and they get their stuff figured out.
And tell me, to cap off this amazing first episode, I've had such a fun time talking with you.
I'm having a blast.
I'm having a blast as well. Give me your number one move and give me your worst move, if you can.
Number one move, huh?
Number one move, and then your worst move.
Well, put me on the spot there.
Think about it. Just think about it. There's been so many good moves. It's been one of the craziest offseason. We knew it was going to be pretty crazy, but
I think the best move out of all the ones that we've talked about, I believe it has to be Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler.
It has to be Jimmy Butler. You know what? Not even the Jimmy Butler trade. My favorite move for the entire offseason has been whatever Minnesota has done. Every single move they've made, I can't complain about. They've done nothing wrong. They've played it perfectly. And after having David Kahn as a general manager and being atrocious when it comes to management overall for the past few years when Kevin Garnett was there and even afterwards, this is the first time where they've made multiple moves in an offseason and they came out on top. And not just on top. I think they came out on top of everyone, I think this team has transformed completely, and they're really going to turn some heads this season.
Right. No, I agree. And just by getting Jimmy Butler, your offseason would have been made right there.
Exactly.
Just by getting him.
And like I said, they didn't stop there. Taj Gibson, Jamal Crawford, Jeff Teague. I mean, those 4 players right there, they brought in a four players of a new starting 5, and you already have Wiggins and Towns.
And getting rid of Ricky Rubio. That's another move as well.
And Zach LaVine. As much as I love Zach LaVine, it's not easy coming back from an ACL injury.
It's not.
And I think it's astounding that they were able to put that package together.
No, just how you said. I could see that being the number one move. The whole all the moves put together made by them. I think they have the best offseason. Even better than the Boston Celtics.
I think the worst move I would have to say, if I was going to pick a worse move, is I think the Lakers are going to regret getting rid of D'Angelo Russell. I think if you want Lonzo Ball, I think that they could have coexisted because D'Angelo can get his. Like I said, he has ice water in his veins, and Lonzo Ball is an unselfish passer. Okay, this is a rookie. This is a 19, 20-year-old. Okay.
He does make the other players better. He's so unselfish.
You're gonna tell me that the lineup of Lonzo Ball, D'Angelo Russell, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, and Brook Lopez. You're gonna tell me in 2, 3, 4 years that wouldn't be a top 3 lineup in the West?
And Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench.
Exactly. I just don't understand why. Or, maybe there was something that was going on behind the scenes that we don't, as fans, see.
Yeah, exactly. Magic Johnson, I don't know what's inside his head, but...
I mean, I know Lakers fans are putting a lot of trust into Magic, and I think that he's done an okay job so far, but I do think down the line that he's going to regret giving up D'Angelo Russell, but I do think that he will shine in Brooklyn. If there's anything positive about the Brooklyn Nets, it's going to be D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I even drafted him in my fantasy league because I think he's going to have a breakout season.
Absolutely. I would encourage anyone to take him, Even if you need to take him in like your 4th round. Take D'Angelo Russell.
Take him.
He's like you said, he's going to average 20+ points this season.
Easily.
No question. He's going to be an all-star. He's going to be an all-star. We know that. But I'm going to ask you the same question. What was your favorite and what was your worst move of the offseason?
Okay. I think I'm not being biased here, but I think
Kyrie Irving.
I think it was Nick Young of the War. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, I think the Celtics and Cavs trade for both teams because Kyrie got out of the situation that he wanted to get out of. He got what he wanted, a great young team, best move possible. Because he's gonna be able to lead that young team. He wanted to go to Miami, Minnesota, Spurs. I really don't like him going to Miami, and then the Cavs, they still get Isaiah Thomas, which I do have faith that he will be the same Isaiah Thomas. And they got Jay Crowder, a great defender, and that pick that I think they're trying to move. They're trying to do something with.
I think they're trying to acquire someone else. I know there's a rumor going around of Iman Shumpert and the Brooklyn 1st-round pick for DeMarcus Cousins. I don't know if that has anything to it, but I know it's been a rumor the past couple days.
Yeah. And like mostly I like this because it makes the East a little bit more competitive.
Absolutely.
With the Celtics being better. And my worst move, that's a tough one. I think man. Same as yours. The D'Angelo Russell.
I don't blame you for going along with it because it is, the potential's there. Not that Brandon Ingram didn't have potential, but why move, 2 potential superstars when you already have them?
And he's still young. D'Angelo Russell's still young.
And I understand that they traded, for Brook Lopez because his contract would be up and they'll have cap space and try to go after someone else. But why try to add a superstar now instead of getting 2 in a couple years?
It's really beyond me, but let's just see how it all goes down this season,
Right. One last thing before we sign off. One last thing. I want to talk about the Clippers just for a second. How do you think the Clippers do this season with all these miscellaneous pieces? They still have DeAndre Jordan. They still have Blake Griffin, even though he's been injury-prone the past 2 or 3 seasons. But they have, Patrick Beverley. They have Danilo Gallinari. They have Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell. This is an interesting bunch.
Montrezl Harrell, I'm a big fan of him.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of him. When he got those minutes in Houston, he did produce. I think they're going to be a little bit worse or the same.
Do they make the playoffs?
Yes, I think they do because they did get a lot of players. And Blake Griffin needs to be that leader.
Do you think he can be?
I think so because, he's not.
He never really got that chance with Chris Paul.
He never got it. The guy doesn't have a temper. He's not selfish. He passes the ball.
Well, he doesn't have a temper except when he's, punching assistants, and breaking his own hand.
I forgot about all that. But I've seen some off-court stuff of him, and he seems like a nice guy. He's funny.
I like him in those Kia commercials.
He's funny. He's a funny guy. I think he'd be an okay leader. I'm not saying he's presidential type of leadership.
Right.
I think they'll be good. I think they'll be the same or a little bit worse.
Yeah, come to think of it, even before Chris Paul got there, I really don't think he had that leadership role. He was young.
He was really young.
All right,
they got him the season after his rookie year.
Right. Yeah, no, they did. That's right. And oh man, he should have gone to the Lakers. Chris Paul should have gone to the Lakers.
Oh my goodness, that's
David Stern. I'm so happy you're gone.
Man, that was. I really don't understand that one. That one's going to be something in my mind for a while.
That is one of the craziest things that I think has ever happened in NBA history.
It would have been great for the league.
It would have been. The league. Chris Paul and Kobe, Pau Gasol.
While
we all wanted to see it, David.
While Kobe still being in his prime.
That could have been something. No, I just wanted to get your take on the Clippers. I think they're going to be an interesting bunch this season. But that's going to do it for us. We hope you enjoyed episode 1 of the GRCV Hoops podcast. Maybe next week we'll go over the rest of the moves and talk about how the league will shape out before the season starts. Maybe make a few predictions, talk about some rookies. Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed once again. My name is Gavin Campbell.
I'm Ricardo Vargas. Thank you for joining us. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you tune in next week. Follow us on GRCV Hoops at Twitter. Have a good day.
Peace.